Do you want to ditch me?
It's in the trees. It's coming.
Stick with your wife.
When I was a child, running in the night, afraid of what might be.
We're going back in time, counting down the top 80 songs from the greatest pop music decade in the history of human civilization, the 1980s. You're listening to the 80 of the 80s podcast with your hosts, DJ CK1 and AK47.
And I don't know what's good for me.
There's no point in beating around the bush, man.
Here I go.
Right, because a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush.
It's worth two in the bush. You were so close that time.
Yeah, I was. I practiced.
You did.
Yeah,
It's so cute.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. What's our song?
Hounds of Love.
The Hounds of Love.
It's kind of sexual, isn't it?
No, I don't know. I think it's a song about falling in love and how that's kind of scary.
It is scary.
Right.
It is really
It
scary.
is.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, it's like
I think it just needs to come naturally. Like, hey.
Well, it does, but I think the fact that, like, when you find real love and it does come naturally, I think that is kind of scary. Like, whoa,
It's because you're scared you're going to lose me, right?
Sure. So, Hounds of Love. Yeah. It's really upbeat in the beginning, and it just, I get happy when it comes on.
It's got that heavy beats.
Yeah, it's just, I like it.
I like the cellos build up and build into a climax. Hey, there's,
Yeah.
I try to keep this kind of clean for the most part. So.
But I actually have to admit, I'm kind of surprised you went with this song, because I thought Running Up the Hill is the song that you would have gone with. It's probably her more popular song, isn't it?
Yes, and actually almost did, but I just Run Up the Hill, it gets kind of a bit monotonous and droning. And with Hounds of Love, I just feel better when it comes on, and it's a shorter, quicker, punchier tune. I can't carry this show by myself.
I'm here.
I know you're here. Probably know more about Bush, the band, than you do.
Negative.
No. You're not a Bush fan? I think
No,
you're into
I
the 90s.
I like a couple of their songs, but no, I'm not really a big Bush fan. No new taxes.
Right there.
Wrong Bush again.
Wrong Bush.
Let's keep going.
No, how about the beer? That's it's like
The Bush's beer. The Bush beer.
fairly.
So stop beating around the bush.
Okay. Yes.
What are you trying to tell me?
Okay, I'm trying to tell you that I've decided, because actually I am not the most well-versed when it comes to, especially like her lyrics.
What? Are you admitting that you don't know something?
I don't know everything there is to know about her, and so I needed to consult an expert. Well, I think you were aware of this. I've spoken to a Kate Bush expert, and so that's going to be my co-host for this episode. So sorry, you gotta go bye-bye.
I've been bushwhacked.
You gotta go bye-bye.
The bush puns never end. I'm so bummed.
So, this is DJ Serious. Well, we've known each other for a while. We also talk a little bit about Talk and Scritti Politti. But he had a lot of really interesting things to say interpreting her songs, and therefore it's going to be about 45 minutes, folks, of me and DJ Serious, and none of you
know me.
No, you.
I'm being booted off the show.
No, not.
He's getting rid of me.
No, don't.
Yes,
don't be afraid.
I'm being ambushed.
It's not
I just wanted to throw in another comment.
Okay, before the puns get any worse, I'm going to have to cut away from you, right? So we're going to cut away right now.
Well, when Bush comes to shove.
What? Cut. Here I am with DJ Serious, probably the number one Kate Bush expert in the state of Tennessee. I'm not as knowledgeable of Kate Bush as maybe I would like to be. That's why I invited him here to give some insight.
And actually, I think I know at least one other person who probably knows more about Kate Bush than me, but I can try.
Okay. Who would that other person be? Maybe I should
you might know this person also. So
who is that? I could blip it out.
Yeah, should I say his name?
Sure. I don't know. Has he analyzed the song meanings as much as you have?
Maybe he hasn't. I don't know. I think he likes her more than I do, for sure. So.
Yeah, he likes her enough to do artwork.
He appreciates her art more than I do.
Yeah, he wants to make
Maybe
art
it's
piece,
how I
like
should say it.
paint portraits of her. First off, you're holding up the cover to the kick inside. The cover is so much better. That's the
Than
British
the US
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
I have no idea.
Why?
I don't know what record company people were thinking, but I guess they thought this wouldn't work in the United States for some reason.
I think for the most part, she doesn't really work well in the United States.
Yeah, I think almost like 90% of the music I like is not as popular in the United States as in other parts of the world. And I have no answer to. I've been trying to figure that out for 20 years.
Yeah, what's wrong with America?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They'd rather listen to Skinner, I guess. I've kind of noticed when you ask me like some of my favorite songs, I feel like one of the things I like about Kate is that a lot of her songs, she uses elements of like traditional British or Irish or Scottish traditional sound and incorporates that into pop music and mesh that with modern pop. Like, I liked the version of Red Shoes from Director's Cut because that was really the instrumentation was really elevated and it's like a pub dance song or something. You know, she has like Jig of Life from Hounds of Love, which is a jig.
See, actually, I would disagree with you there because, like, when the fiddle comes in, I'm like, no.
I love it.
Okay.
Even like the sensual world, the fiddle and the chorus.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
what I was thinking of. Let's go through our list. I want to put our list together. 50 Words for Snow, I have not listened to that.
Okay. I've tried listening to it. I've listened to it twice, and I just can't. It's painful. And it's not like an Ozu film painful. You know, it's like it's slow and kind of boring, but you feel like at least like an Ozu movie, you get something out of it, and you think like, oh, there was something to that. I just don't get that record yet. Now, Kate's music, though, often you don't really like it at first, and you need to hear it several times before you understand it. So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe I need to listen to that some more, but I've only listened to it twice.
And actually, some of her music, maybe I haven't listened to it enough. I'm of the opinion that, you know, life's short and there's so much music to listen to. If a song doesn't grab you on the first listen, like, why try again?
And a lot of my favorite stuff is stuff I didn't like at first, and I had to listen to it 3 or 4 times, and then I was like, oh, I get this now.
Okay, so this might be a bit of an ignorant opinion here. Say no to 50 Words for Snow. Your number 9 is my number 7. Your number 8 is the Director's Cut, which I haven't listened to, and I just assume since the songs are all the same. Okay, what's the story behind the Director's Cut?
And I hate saying all this stuff publicly because so much of this is taken from my memory of reading things on the internet. So I hope this is correct. That's okay.
I mean, I've been criticized for saying that George Michael had an illegitimate child. So which is not true.
Well,
but
from my best knowledge, the Sensual World album and the Red Shoes album. So Sensual World from '89 and Red Shoes from '93. She was not happy with the production on a lot of those, so she wanted to go back and redo some of the songs from those. So Director's Cut, she does the vocals again. Actually, because she was older, she had to pitch the song down. So actually changed the key that the song was in for it to work with her voice. And so a lot of the songs just feel a little bit slower and more contemplative, but also like she's trying to get more emotion out of them. Mostly I don't feel like they're actually better than the original versions, except for I really like Flower of the Mountain, which was originally the Sensual World, and I like the Red Shoes on here a lot better.
Just come let it show. I should be hoping that I can't stop thinking.
Woman's work is much not as good as the version on the Sensual World by far, and it's not just me. My wife, who has very different tastes from me, agrees with that. She felt like the version on the Sensual World was much better.
So why didn't she like those 2 albums, like the production sound?
Yeah, I don't know.
She produced them herself, right?
I don't know what the story is behind those. I wonder if maybe looking back, she was like, oh, I didn't like what I was doing then, or maybe the record company had some control over how some of the songs came out. Like, I know Rubber Band Girl is very different on the director's cut. It's almost like a country western song. So it makes you wonder if that's what she wanted to do originally, and then the record company's like, no, you need to do more of a pop song with this. Like, I don't know.
Actually, I remember reading somewhere when I was doing my little bit of research that Central World and then the Red Shoes were digital recordings, and she wanted to do analog recordings.
Yeah, it used to be back in those days. The digital had this. Yeah, I don't know how to describe the sound, but it's just different. Like when I go back and listen to Security by Peter Gabriel, I can tell it's a digital recording, and it just doesn't sound as good to me. So I kind of understand that. But I couldn't tell with those albums.
Actually, my number 8 is higher up on your list, and then your number 7 is higher up on my list. I know this is getting confusing, but we're at number 7 now for me, and this is the Red Shoes, which we have already talked about a little.
Oh, okay,
bit.
Yeah.
One thing I have to give the Red Shoes is, at least kind of like the Rubber Band Girl song, which I haven't listened to the director's cut version. I like that it is poppier and more accessible. The songs have more of a beat. It's funkier. And it seems like a lot of it's kind of like the least popular of all the Kate Bush albums, or the least liked, to where some critics have really dismissed it. And I'm like, hey, it's not too bad, folks.
Am I misremembering this, or was this sort of a commercial failure for her? And I think I read it was the first album she had that was not well received, like critically, maybe it was.
Right.
And I got the idea that might be why she didn't make another album for 12
years.
Yeah.
12 years.
To me, it is a pretty weak album. There's a few good moments on it, and I like what she's trying to do in some of the songs. Like Moments of Pleasure, she's just trying to talk about like some really great moments in life, and Top of the City is kind of atmospheric, but I don't know. I felt like it was a very weak album.
How about this song about constellations?
Kate. Constellations.
Like the
I don't even remember that.
Of Your Heart.
Oh, Constellations of Your Heart. Yeah. And then there's the one that like Prince produced on here, right?
Yeah.
So if you like Prince, you might really enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Constellations was also kind of funky, and again, it grabbed me. And okay, so here's I think a big difference between you and I. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I'm not as much about the lyrics. And in a way, that's why I'm talking to you, because you understand her lyrics more than I do. But it's so hard because her lyrics are wrapped up in the song so much and provide so much meaning. And it's hard to separate her lyrics from the song.
I love that about her, that she doesn't just write. I mean, she writes some love songs, but her songs are not like straightforward pop songs. She writes about all different interesting ideas. I don't know. We haven't gotten to Never Forever yet, but like she's talking about afterlife in one of the songs, and on the Kick Inside, I mean, I love Them Heavy People, because she's talking about how like she's trying to search for truth, and she doesn't know who to listen to, and there's all these people with all this philosophy, and she doesn't know what to do with it, and I just really appreciate that about her work.
Let's move on to number 6. Your number 6 is higher on my list, and my number 6 is higher on your list. So we're going to move on to number 5. And actually, we both agreed that for number 5, it's Ariel.
So when Ariel came out, I was poor, but it was such a big deal.
I lived with you too.
Oh,
were you really that hard
roommate?
up? Yes, I was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I felt like I was. And so like I went out and bought the album, and it was like $20 or something, and I felt like so guilty about it. It took a long time for it to grow on me. I still don't really like the first disc that much, but the second disc I think is one of her finest. It's just like one long song, and it slowly builds. And again, she's being positive in the second one, and heaven forbid someone write positive music that's where she's talking about good things that can actually happen. I appreciate music that points out the darker parts of life, because that's true as well, but sometimes there's good things in life, and I feel like the second half of Ariel, she's doing that. She's talking about beautiful things and good things, and being happy and joyful.
what is it? A sky of honey or sea of honey? Like, what's the difference?
One of them is the Sky of Honey and one's the Sea of Honey. One of those discs. The second one's a Sky of Honey.
Right.
And so Architect's Dream, I remember when I first heard it, it felt too slow. But now that I'm older, I'm more into like ambient stuff, and so it works much better for me. But it's also meticulous. It's another thing I like about her music. It's very meticulous. Everything is there for a reason. So even like her singing with a bird. She has all those little bird sounds, and she's singing with them. It's all just very specific. But I like how that second half just builds up until the last song is pretty hard hitting.
Yeah, she maybe even should have released these separately, because it's kind of like, I mean, I think the second disc is really why I put it up to number 5. I think it's more of like the first disc is more Red Shoes.
And I like King of the Mountain. I think it's got a good chorus. But some of the songs, Mrs. Bartolzoli?
Yeah, the washing machine song.
Yeah, where she's washing.
Washing machine.
I mean, I don't know, it's hard for me to, maybe I don't get it, but it's not her worst work for sure.
Although you counted the second disc as all as like one song, and that's your favorite song, I think you can still tell where one song begins and the other ends. And so that's why, I mean, I say Sunset is probably my favorite on that. Again, it's kind of upbeat, happy song, lots of percussion, and
yeah. So on the second disc, I would probably go with Somewhere in Between.
Somewhere in between the waxing and the waiting. Somewhere in between all the song and the silences.
And then also going on your themes of being positive, I think that's like why Kate Bush. She often gets lumped in with a lot of the Tori Amos, a lot of those Lilith Fair, folksy female singers. But it seems a lot of them, they're very bitter and unhappy, and they complain a lot. And Kate Bush doesn't do that. Or it's very personal. And being a woman, they take a woman's position on things. While Kate Bush often takes a male's perspective.
Oh, I would say that I think she's very much a feminist with a lot of her stuff. But she doesn't seem as angry or as bitter. I don't want to say these other people hate men. I don't know. Maybe they don't. But she doesn't seem to have that so much. So I'm just speculating. Maybe she had a better childhood. Maybe she was treated better growing up. I think she was middle class.
She does seem to have a good relationship with her father and her brothers. I mean, I guess I'm just thinking about like Tori Amos, her album Boys for Pele, and she has a gun.
And how much of that is marketing? But I mean, there is some of that. I mean, and Ani DeFranco was huge in the 90s, and I'm sure she influenced some of those 90s artists, and Kate kind of predates that.
But it seems like Kate Bush is more like, hey, I'm here with you guys. Let me take care of you. And
she just doesn't seem as angry or as bitter, and she doesn't shy away from dark stuff, because we'll get to the Hounds of Love, and she doesn't shy away from it completely, but I do appreciate that she's, I don't know, she just seems like a very healthy person, very mentally healthy person. Like, I don't know her personally, but she comes off that way. Despite people saying her music is weird and out there, she comes off as very normal.
Yeah, in her interviews, right, that's true.
Yeah.
Because like you listen to her music, you'd probably think, she's like my drama teacher.
Yeah, she's
in high school world, the art teacher from Gross World, who's making the weird films like Mirror, Father, Mirror.
She'll like stare at a leaf for 24 hours just to study it or something like that.
Right, yeah. Now she's more grounded than that. Okay, so your number 4 was actually my number 8. So this was my least favorite Kate Bush album. This was your 4th favorite. It's The Sensual World. So here we get to argue.
Yeah, I didn't like it for a long time, and now I just feel like the songs really grew on me. So to me, A Sensual World is a collection of songs. It's not an album like the Hounds of Love or like Ariel is. It's more of like she wrote some good songs and then tried to put them together. I feel like Love and Anger and This Woman's Work are probably my two favorite songs by her, and they're both in the sensual world. Reaching Out is a good song. Heads Were Dancing is a good song. Deeper Understandings, you could say that's cheesy, but I see what she's trying to say. It's about human longing. Rocket's Tale's not great, but that guy I mentioned before, he would say it's just wonderful. This is his favorite Kate album. I mean, it is a little more mature. Maybe you have to be in your 30s or 40s to like it.
Did appreciate the sensuality of it.
Let's talk about A Sensual World really quick.
Oh, yes. No,
yeah, there's a James Joyce. He wrote that book Ulysses, and there's this poem in it, and she wanted to take that poem and set it to music, and that's where The Sensual World came from, and they wouldn't give her the rights to it, so she had to rewrite it. So when she went back and redid it on the director's cut, she went back and used the actual poem, the original by James Joyce, and the lyrics are much better. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's a song about sex, and it's fine. It's good.
He said I was a flower of the mountains, but now I've powers of a woman's body.
Actually, she's taking a female's perspective here because for me, this is not like, oh yeah, this song turns me on or anything like that. If anything, it's kind of like the lyrics are kind of boring, but I'm a dude, so just can't.
Yeah,
relate.
and it's not like super explicit, which I actually appreciate that it's not a pornographic song.
So my favorite from The Sensual World is This Woman's Work, and then again, this is kind of like one I think that people misinterpret, because I saw a documentary about her on the BBC, and they're saying like this is a feminist anthem, and really again, she's taking a male perspective.
It is a male perspective, and it's about grief, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. Some of my favorite songs, like Being Boring by Pet Shop Boys, are songs about grief, and it's so powerful. And she wrote it for she's having a baby, right? That film.
It's that Kevin Bacon film
that?
from the. Oh man, where's the Gobotron? I need to hook the Gobotron up to this cast so we can.
But I mean, essentially the song is the guy's in a relationship with his wife and he loves her, and then during childbirth she may be dying, and it's like his thoughts as he's thinking, my wife is dying, and so it's really, really powerful song because of that.
That she can have the empathy for just a movie. But she based a lot of her songs on movies. I guess she's really into...
Actually, I did want to talk about that. Every time I hear her talking about how she comes up with a song in an interview, it's because of something she saw on TV. So even like Houdini is not based on the real story of Houdini. It seems to be based on the movie.
Right. Wuthering Heights is about the movie.
Yeah, it's based on the movie. She sees something visually, turns that into a song.
I wish this chick would just quit whining. Yeah, really.
Love and Anger, I just can't separate from the Bevis and Butthead.
You could change the channel, Butthead. I shouldn't have to do that. She should just shut up.
It's funny because it's like, what would, adolescent boys who listen, maybe I shouldn't badmouth Metallica.
No, go for it.
Adolescent boys who listen to Metallica, the kind of guys that were in my school who all they want to do is get high, and what would they say about Kate Bush? It would completely go over their heads.
She's the one who sucks. I guess you're right.
Or it'd be like, man, this Sensual World song's not sexy enough.
Yeah.
Rock. This chick isn't humming right. Yeah, really. You're supposed to hum like this.
We're going to have to take a break from DJ Sirius and our Kate Bush album countdown because we need to have some commercials.
80 of the 80s. We'll be right back after these messages.
We went out of our way to make a dry dog food that's altogether different. It's new Come and Get It. variety dinner for dogs. The taste dogs really go for it. Come and Get It has 4 different flavors. Beef, cheese, liver, chicken. In 4 unique shapes. 4 flavors, 4 shapes. A great new taste. We put them all together in one bag. New, come and get it. Come and get it. Come and get it. Come and get it. The taste that calls dogs to dinner.
Since 2015, through the thick and thin, 80 of the 80s podcast has always been there for you. And just like you, we're people. In these trying times, with uncertain and troubling and unprecedented racket on the radio, you can keep yearning for the past without leaving the safety of your home. And if you're at the grocery store and your favorite brand of toilet paper is sold out and Lil Nas X featuring Billy Ray Cyrus is blaring from the speakers, 80 the 80s is here to help. Because we're in this together. Forever and never to part. And don't you know, we would move heaven and earth to be together forever and ever 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 and ever.
We have many varieties of moods within us, but it's up to you to choose.
見つけようもう一つの時セイコークォーツ
We're all alone on the stage tonight.
My number 4 was Lionheart, and I kind of grouped all of her albums. I call them the 70s albums, even though Never Forever came out in 1980. I kind of grouped them all together because they all sound similar.
They have that warm production.
Right.
I think I heard that the guys from Pilot were her backing band on maybe the first 2 albums. But yeah, they have really good musicians on them. Lionheart was one of the first I listened to, and I loved it because of the sound, because it sounded so good. It was so warm. But after hearing the Kick Inside, I feel like the songs, it's like a B-side collection for the Kick Inside.
That's what I think.
Because it came out so quickly after her first album.
Yeah, it actually came out the same year. I think they both came out 78.
I think it did, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still an enjoyable record.
Yeah, so it was number 7 on your list, and you said we both agreed the best song was Symphony in Blue. I think it just has maybe one of the more noticeable melodies.
It's got a little bit of soul in the verse, the way she sings it, so it's kind of nice.
Actually, we both agreed for number 3. We both said Never Forever.
That's a good one.
Your favorite was Blow Away.
Had a
times when it's a slow Kate Bush song, you can tell the piano starts with the piano. I'm like, okay, we're in for a long slog here. It's going to be kind of, it's going to be dull. It doesn't really go anywhere, and maybe it's more focused on the lyrics. But this one has a bit more of a melody again, so I can kind of hum along to it.
Yeah, I think the melody's really good in that song. That's one of the reasons I like it.
I like violin, though. I think of all the Kate Bush, I prefer punchier rock and roll numbers. So.
That one is probably her most rocking song, along with James and the Cold Gun, maybe. But yeah, she's really trying to rock in that one. And I've heard a lot of people say they like that one a lot.
Now the artwork is really cool for that album. It's probably one of my favorite artwork of any album. I imagine somebody, and I'm sure this probably happened at least once in the history of the world, went into a record shop and saw it and said, this looks really freaking weird. I don't know who this is, and put it on, and then the music kind of matched that otherworldly sound and shrieking vocals, and it's just this package of oddities. I often associated because near the similar time that Raggy Ann and Andy movie came out, and so it had that kind of like a patchwork cartoony look to it.
It does, because it's all these illustrations of all these creatures. And on the back, she's dressed up like a bat, sticking her tongue out, and she's like on wires.
Yeah, again, she's like some crazy chick.
The only thing is the infant kiss, where she's singing like she's in love with a little boy. It creeps me out.
What is this infant kiss that sends my body tingling?
So that's like the one I just can't listen to on there.
Right, but that was another one that was based on a movie, right? Did you know that?
Oh, it probably is. I mean, that makes sense, because why would she write that otherwise?
Yeah, have you seen The Innocents, the movie?
No, I haven't.
It comes from, I think it's from the 1960s. I don't know. It's a black and white British horror film. It's based on the book Turn of a Screw by Henry James.
Yes, that's a big book.
Right.
Or popular book.
It actually,
helps when you know it's not like personal experience. It's based on.
Right, yeah. That's like probably one of the best horror films ever. And it's kind of dreamy too. But speaking about dreams, your number 2 is The Dreaming, and
yes,
I put The Dreaming down as my number 6.
And this is the record that Neil Tennant, when he was a journalist for some publication, said, it seems like she's trying to commit a career suicide with this album. He just felt like it wasn't pop music at all, and it was just terrible. I think it's wonderful. I think every song on it's good. They're all interesting. They're all very meticulously put together. I love meticulous music. They all have meaning. Houdini's a little cheesy, but the melody's amazing. Get Out of My House is a little weak, maybe, but
that's also based on a horror
based
film
on The
too.
Shining, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I love this record, especially Night of the Swallow. A lovely song. It's like a man and a woman kind of arguing in the song, and he's trying to run something illegally by flying a plane over the channel, and she's trying to stop him, and it's just so interesting.
Can't you swallow?
I wonder if that was like an episode of Magnum PI or something like that.
Maybe so, yeah. Something she saw back then.
Wait, do they have channels in Hawaii? Never mind. I didn't like this as much, and that's why I knocked it down to number 6 on my list. I'm more with Neil Tennant there. Like, Sat in Your Lap, it's got some great percussions, maybe bob my head along with all that, and the Suspended Gaffa, I think, is probably my favorite song.
Out in the garden is half of heaven, and we're only bluffing. We're not ones for busting through walls, but they've told
Although
us.
I think it goes on way too long. It has 3 verses and choruses. It should probably only have 2, I think, and stop right there. Because by the time you get to the 3rd round, you're like, I've had enough.
again, I listen to it a lot, and I think that makes a difference. And I remember being at a friend's house, and my CD copy was kind of brittle sounding. She was streaming it on something with these really nice speakers, and when I heard it like that, it just opened my mind to the record. Just hearing it properly done, which is one of the reasons I got the remastered version of it when it came out in 2018, because the sound quality seems to help a lot for me.
So you'll endorse the remastered versions?
There's not the loudness issue is not on here. They weren't overly compressed. Some of the albums, like the Central World, I can't really tell much difference from the original. I like the original Hounds of Love better, but I listen to it a ton. But otherwise, yeah. Really, the second box set you don't need because none of that's remastered. But the first box set's probably worth it.
All right, we're down to our final two.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and talk about my number one. My number one was your number 6. Talking about the Kick Inside. Like you said, this is like her A material. And she wrote, hundreds of songs or something like that before they, or whoever her producer was, or David Gilmour, whoever helped her out, selected her like her A material. And I think it's pretty obvious. So it was hard for me to pick. I love James of the Cold Gun because, again, it's more rock and roll.
James, come on home. You've been gone too long, baby. We can't let our hero.
And I understand how they thought that would be a good single because it does have like a 70s rock sound to it. But anyway,
Wuthering Heights, right?
Yeah, Wuthering Heights. There we go.
That's a classic. Someone told me with that song she was the youngest female songwriter to have a number 1.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Like 18 or something.
Now I can understand the critic who said it sounds like you're strangling a turkey. But it's,
I don't know. I love it.
When I bought her compilation, the whole story, I don't think I'd heard one Kate Bush song. All I know is that she was that chick who sang with Peter Gabriel on Don't Give Up. Granted, the version on the whole story has her deeper vocals. I guess her 30-something vocals and not necessarily her teenage vocals or whatever. Still, you could just immediately tell, like, this is like one of those canonical songs that should go like in pop music history because of its uniqueness. It's really neat how it takes on Kathy's view, or Catherine. Is it Catherine or Kathy from Wuthering Heights? I haven't read Wuthering Heights.
It's me, Kathy. Yeah. The production reminds me a little bit of prog rock from the period, but it's not a prog rock song. It's still a pop song. It's just beautiful. That whole album is pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of good songs on it.
Yeah,
Man with a Child in His Eyes, I think she wrote that when she was 16. And you can tell it's a little immature, but it's okay. It's not bad.
So I think L'Amour Looks Something Like You is probably my favorite, though, off of that one. So that's the one.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Wuthering Heights is more of an epic, I guess, and L'Amour is more like a comfortable. Yeah. Let's sing along with Kate tonight.
And I really like Them Heavy People. It's really catchy. Kite's good too.
Kite, that was another one. So I think it's really hard to pick my favorite off of that one. So I think you pointed out how like Peter Gabriel, his 70s material as well, it just has that kind of that warm, woolly, fuzzy sound.
Yeah.
Let's think about Genesis's, and then there were 3. I kind of like that, and I kind of think that was lost in the 80s.
I love the 70s production.
Now, it's not necessarily as good for dance music. I know people say disco. I still think, like, you take your banging gated drum, thanks, Mr. Collins, for the gated drum effect. But I would take, that kind of stuff over the 70s disco, which is very cymbal-oriented,
But the funk was great.
Yeah, funk was good. Yeah.
But that bled way into the 80s, too.
Electro funk is good, too, yeah. So
yeah.
Hey, it's nice we have different colors and flavors. So but let's move on to our number one, finally. This is actually my number two. Your number one, Hounds of Love. And my favorite is the song Hounds of Love, which of course is the feature song of the show, is the Hounds of Love, the song.
So to me, this album is like, I think this is, in my opinion, the best album ever made. I would say it's the equivalent to Dark Side of the Moon, but for the 80s. I would say the ninth wave, the second half is like that. That's the part that's the most meaningful, and then that's the part that's like one song. It's really about death, and she's using water as a motif for death. And it starts out the second half, the ninth wave. The scene is there's a shipwreck, and the protagonist or whoever it is goes into the water with a life vest, and it's got a beacon on his chest that's blinking. And so it just starts out with that, and he or she is trying to fall asleep while they're in the water, and then the entire rest of the thing, he's kind of coming in and out of a dream state, and every song is kind of like part of him dreaming, and then he kind of starts waking up, and then he goes back into dreaming. And then I think in Hello Earth, you kind of zoom out, and you're looking at the entire Earth and how the entire Earth is mortal and will die. But in the Morning Fog, I think it's kind of about resurrection or reincarnation, which to me is kind of beautiful. That she could have ended it on just like the Dark Side of the Moon ends with this little quote that says, really, there's no dark side of the moon. In point of fact, the whole thing is dark. Basically saying like nothing exists, like nothing matters. It's all dark. But she ends with hope. And that's why I feel like it's a better record, in my opinion.
Wait, so that stuff about the guy getting tossed in the water, is that in the lyrics?
Yeah, the first song, And Dream of Sheep, I don't know if it says it very well. But again, I think this comes from a movie, and I saw a clip from the movie.
Okay.
But yeah.
What movie is this?
I don't know what the movie was, but I think I saw a clip of it because I watched a documentary on this album. So not a lot of albums have their own documentary, but this one did. And that she's talking about how like she's trying to stay awake in case somebody comes to pick her up, but she's falling asleep. And then it goes to the Under Ice where there's someone skating, and then they fall through a crack in the ice, and how the water kills them there. And then you have that goes seamlessly into Waking the Witch, which is about how they used to drown people to determine if they were witches, and so they would kill them that way. Super dark.
Yeah, but it's like, what does that have to do with being like, it's just that the person's hallucinating, and it just seems kind of like a way just to tie in different themes to get together.
I mean, they're all about death, but they have a water motif that runs through the whole thing. Okay. And which to me is similar to baptism, because baptism is like death through water. Jig of Life to me is sort of like she's really angry at death. And so you can just hear so much anger in that song. And I feel like it's more angry than almost any other song I've ever heard. Don't take this away from me. Don't forget me. I just love it.
I thought the last song, though, she's like talking about like, tell people you love them and stuff. Was it his ghost or something? Or?
So the Morning Fog, to me, that's like resurrection. So new life after death. Or you can interpret that as like a reincarnation. So because, she starts out saying little light, just like she did in the first song, but begin to breathe again. And then she talks about how she loves everyone she loves. And it's called the Morning Fog, so it's like a new birth. So a lot of people, like in the documentary I saw, they didn't like that she ended on something positive. I think it's great.
The first half of the album, side A, I think all those songs are very solid. And again, it's just because I like more of the immediate pop tunes.
Yeah, they're mostly all pop songs, but one of the neat things about them is that's when she really started writing songs around rhythms. So she would get a rhythm going and then kind of write from the rhythm, which is why they kind of have a different sound to them. I don't know about Mother Stands for Comfort. That one may have been written with, actually I'd have to hear it again, but mostly they're written around rhythms.
Yeah, that
Cloud
you could,
busting is based on a book, supposedly, which
not a
would
movie,
be
but yeah.
yeah, that would be new for her if it was actually the book instead of the movie. But
I think, yeah, I
it's
think
got
it
an
was,
interesting
yeah.
story.
But yeah, this video is really good because it tells the story in the video.
Yeah, that is a good video. Actually, I love the Big Sky video too, even though you could say that's cheesy, but it's pretty entertaining.
I think the song is about a breakup.
Oh, really?
Maybe so. Well, now, or maybe it's just she's saying that the line, "You never understood me, you never even tried." It's some guy who's like, "Yeah, you're too weird and eccentric or whatever." And she's saying, "Well, I'm looking at the big picture here.
I see.
You're bogged down in the details of life."
Yeah, and if you hear the extended version, she's like, "That cloud looks like blah blah blah," and she's saying like the clouds look like different things. It's pretty great.
Right? Yeah, she's looking at the clouds.
Yeah, I'm thinking about I get this vision of her laying in the grass, looking up at the clouds, and like we did as kids.
Maybe she's just trying to explain it to the guy, not really like, I'm leaving you now because you're like an accountant. You're a numbers nerd, and I'm a happy-go-lucky manic pixie dream girl or whatever. Okay, this is one thing I really think about the album though, is I would have definitely put The Big Sky as the second track, and I would have put Hounds of Love as the second to last song.
Okay.
I guess that doesn't fit into her ninth wave, or at least put it like at the end of side A. It sounds like a song that you would want to build up to. You'd want to build up to it, and that's one thing I like about the Hounds of Love song. It's definitely not a typical pop song. It exemplifies a climax, celebration, like a release, and that's kind of like the way you would want to end an album or come close to ending an album.
You're right. I mean, kind of like how Peter Gabriel really wanted to end so with "In Your Eyes," because it's kind of a celebratory song. I mean, it's got this just really positive rhythm and sound to it. Hounds of Love does. Again, she saw a movie or a video of fox hunt, and so she thought about herself as the fox being chased. What's good for her? She runs away from love. I think I heard an older version of it where the chorus was different, where she was just like, "Run, run, run." It's just not as good as what she ended up with.
Wait, where'd you get these? Is this from the box set or something, or these extended
Maybe it
versions
was
of the
on.
songs?
There used to be a box set that came out in the early '90s called "This Woman's Work." Maybe it was on that. I can't remember where I heard that.
Oh, okay. And I just had a hard time deciding which I liked better, the Hounds of Love or Running Up That Hill.
Yeah, Running Up That Hill. It's just something about that synth.
I wouldn't say a march. It's not intense enough for a march, but it's like
It's got
like
that rhythm of that
rhythm.
drum that's loose. Yeah. Julia Holter used like the exact same rhythm for the Horn Surrounding Me song. I thought that was interesting. Running Up That Hill is what I like about it is she's talking about communication between men and women. I assume between men and women or between two people is so difficult. And she's saying like, if I could only just become you or take on your perspective, then we wouldn't have this conflict because I would understand. So it's really about like a longing for empathy. She wanted to call the song A Deal with God, but they wouldn't let her for some reason. So she's like, if I could just make a deal with God and swap places with you, then we wouldn't have this problem. We would understand each other.
Yeah, so it is kind of like the Big Sky in theme.
Maybe those are personal songs.
Is there anything you've been listening to from the 80s?
Well, I got back into Aha recently, and I was just struck by how much better Scoundrel Days is than Hunting High and Low.
Right,
I
but
feel
Hunting
like
High
it's
and Low is
such
the
a
one that, yeah.
step ahead. I feel like maybe that's their best album. It's just a really good album.
Oh, definitely. I know you think that Hounds of Love is the best album of be all time or something like that. But I think Scoundrel Days would probably rank up there as.
It's really solid. Yeah, I've been listening to that some lately. I'm trying to think of Talk also.
Right. See, and I haven't.
It's My Life.
I've kind of been mystified about both Talk and Scritti Politti, that they've gotten like a lot of critical acclaim, and I just kind of judge them just on their hit songs. But now I've gone back and I've listened to Scritti Politti's Cupid and Psyche 85, and I'm like, wow, I can get it now. I understand the production. It's just
I love
really
that
unique
record.
pop
It's
music.
great.
Yeah, I mean, the songs all sound kind of similar. They're all really upbeat and everything, but still, it's.
He has that song, Every Night I Pray Like Aretha Franklin.
Okay, can I tell? Yeah, I'm going to tell a story about that song right here.
Okay.
I have such a negative association. Well, for one thing, I'm not a big Aretha Franklin fan, but okay, this is when I started doing my 80s show, which was back 1996. I was playing 80s music, and I was trying to get people to call in, and this guy called in, and he said that he wanted to hear that song, Would Be's by Scritti Politti, and we just happened to have the record at the station back in our archival room, and so I played it. Look, I was like 19 years old, okay? Give me a break. Mm-hmm. This was very unprofessional, horrible thing to do. After playing it, I said, I'm sorry, folks, that was like one of the worst songs I've ever heard. And
yeah, it's so adolescent. Yeah,
I know it is. It is. Yeah. And so I feel bad for that guy, I play like his favorite song, and then he's...
That's like when you laughed at the guy who said Pseudo Echo is his favorite band.
Yeah, he misinterpreted that. I was just really fascinated that someone would say that Pseudo Echo was their favorite band. I was just really interested in his fandom. But, so I just, that was one listen and it was done. Because I just thought it was like the cheesiest thing. But now when I was listening to the album again, I was like, all right, it's the Would Be song. And it's like, he's like spelling out W-O-O-D, B's. And then it hit me like, oh, this is where I heard it before. I played it on the radio and I dissed it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Whoever that was, I apologize. Yeah.
Have mercy on your former self. Talk, the thing is their first album to me is so weak, and so that single Talk ruined them for me for so long. For 20 years I was like, they're terrible because the song Talk was so weak. And it wasn't until recently that I listened to their second album, and then I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then they just like progressed so quickly. By the third album, they're starting to move into post-rock, and then the fourth album, Spirit of Eden, is the post-rock album, or one of the post-rock albums. And people like Elbow are like, it's more amazing than if he had gone to the moon that he made that album, Mark Hollish.
What does post-rock mean?
Yeah, I guess you just go listen to Spirit of Eden, by Talk. It's like he's trying to invent a new type of music, I think. And that's like from 87. And I like those records. I like Color Spring, but really the second album is my favorite. It's My Life. Because it's still really poppy. But it's got great synths on it. It still has a lot of emotion, but it's pop too. But I've met people who like love the later stuff. Like my composer friends from college were like that.
And like you said, terrible band name.
Yeah, it's the worst band name.
Well, there's this prog rock group that I've been listening to a little bit, and they are somewhat Genesis influenced. No.
That's a terrible name too.
Their name of the group is Big Big Train.
Oh my gosh, it's like they're like a toddler came up with the name.
I know. They do these like heavy thematic albums. They're really complex. And
that sounds good. It sounds like it might be great, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So anyway, I could see some dude at like a cocktail party or wherever trying to impress other people say, well, there is, of course, Big Big Train.
Yeah, that's the thing. Band names don't matter if you know about them, but if you've never heard of them, if someone's like, I really love, whatever, they'll be like, what? It's a terrible, like, that sounds terrible, but otherwise the band name doesn't matter. I mean, Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, I think that's awesome.
Really?
No, it's great because it makes you think of
they're a great
smashing
band,
up pumpkins. It actually creates a visual image of.
Oh, okay. I guess we can disagree on that band name, but yeah.
I think like REM. They're not even called RIM. RIM. No, they're
Yeah, that is a really weak
with the
name.
periods in there.
U2 is a terrible name too.
It's really basic. I guess in REM's like this too. That's really basic. You can apply it to almost anything.
Oh man, Aha, I think is a terrible band name too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. ABC.
Oh well.
We're just the A's. We can keep going down the list of bad band names. So.
I live my life like there's no tomorrow. All I've got, I had to steal.
Cool. I was going to ask you about what do you think about Burn the Bee, Van Halen album?
I think it's better than Van Halen. I really liked the Running with the Devil.
Running with the devil.
It's kind of jazzy. Got a good rhythm.
It still kind of rocks.
But I was so disappointed they chose Van Halen as their band to cover. And maybe I just don't get it, but I really wanted them to do, what would be like a good equivalent?
Judas Priest.
I'm not into heavy metal, so maybe I should be, but I mean...
Bruce Springsteen.
There's so many, Springsteen they could have done. There's so many things they could have done that I would have liked better.
U2, REM.
Yeah, Tears for Fears.
That would be a good. But I also wish they would do like the non-singles.
Yes, I would appreciate that as well.
Like Hall & Oates, they just did just the hits.
Hall & Oates, some of their non-singles are not good, but they have some that are really good, and it would be good to hear a new version of them. I didn't love the Interpreting the Masters Part 2. It's okay. And to actually get a physical copy, I had to order it from Japan, so thank you for not printing that in America, guys.
You're supposed to listen to it on Spotify, don't you know? You got to get with the times, man.
Guess so, yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't badmouth Bird and the Bee because they're so great.
Yeah,
What's done is done.
Yeah, I like it for what it is. I mean, it's kind of like Talk only released 4 albums or something, right?
Yeah.
5 albums, and Bird and the Bees probably did just as much. So
and
they're still going.
2006 and 2015, they were pretty flawless.
Don't leave me here. Skirt in the air with muted cares, all limbs in love absurd. I know I say, just let me stay, but stomp the ground, push me around, and send me on my.
Thanks a lot, DJ Sirius. This has been a fascinating conversation, a very enlightening. So I learned.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and maybe I can have you again sometime. Now, granted, I don't want you to be the new co-host because AK-47 might get a little jealous.
She's a lot better than I am, so you should stick with her.
I'll stick with her.
Your wife.
Yeah, I guess that's a good advice. Okay.
Pound or stick it to the man. I want to be the best I can for me, for you, for every man. But
We need to go to commercial break.
80s are the 80s. We'll be back after these messages.
to face, I want to be the best I can for me, for you.
Say, what are you kids doing up there?
We're doing sit-ups. We're doing sit-ups. We're doing sit-ups. Sit-ups.
Hey, what's going on here? What are you kids doing?
We're doing sit-ups. We're doing sit-ups. We're doing sit-ups.
Everybody's doing sip-ups, the great-tasting fun drink with its own straw. Want great taste? You can do sip-ups. What are you kids doing?
We're doing sit-ups.
Hi, I'm Gret, the founder and CEO of DonorSee, and today I need your help. Whenever there is a global pandemic like this, it's always the poorest people on the planet who get hit the worst. In partnership with our on-the-ground aid workers all over the planet, and with your help, we can lessen the blow of COVID-19 for the poorest members of our global community. We've set up a special page on DonorSee, so just go to DonorSee.com/coronavirus and you'll see immediate and urgent needs that you can address right now in real time. Whenever you donate to one of these needs, you'll always get a video update just like with every other project on DonorSee. If you're feeling the same uncertainty that I feel about the coronavirus and you feel like it's big and scary and there's nothing you can do about it, there is. Go to DonorSee.com/coronavirus, and together we can work on lessening the blow of COVID-19 for the poorest members of our planet.
So nice, Reunity. Land is a free land. Kiss me, hold me, take my hand. Sleep is a river that leads us to a better land. I love you. I dream of you all night and day.
So we got tickets. See Pet Shop Boys and New Order in Chicago.
Yeah, so we'll have more to talk about in the future. Right.
I'm really excited about this one. I've never seen either one of these bands. Although I have to say, I am not thrilled with the new Pet Shop Boys album. There are a couple of shining spots, but for the most part,
I think they're playing with the American audience. I think they probably would focus more on their hit songs when we see them live. As for this album, I liked it. And, of course, I'm very conflicted because they're probably my favorite. Yeah, they are my favorite duo ever. I mean, as a duo, yeah, that goes without saying. Maybe only Erasure would come close.
I don't know. Fair Control, they're pretty great.
Modern Talking, Dollar. Like Pet Shop Boys, they have hundreds and hundreds of good songs. About 50 incredible songs. And then they got about maybe 20 or 30 cringe-inducing songs. This album...
Cringe? That's pretty serious.
Cringe to where it's like, I have trouble listening to it because the content is just so trite.
Yes. Are you referring to the wedding song on the new album?
The wedding song, yeah. With that one, they wanted to do a song for a friend's wedding that was in Berlin or something. This is my theory. And they're like, all right, we can just throw it on the album. We need a 10th track. The I don't want a song is just they're whining, and that one is
prostate exams. Go ahead.
Right, that's annoying. So there are 2 cringe songs on this and 8 good songs, but nothing really stands out. I was like, oh, I absolutely love this, and this is going to go up in the canon of my best stuff.
Yeah, I like Monkey Business.
Monkey Business is a little better, yeah.
It's a little better, but it still feels kind of off for me. It doesn't feel like authentic Pet Shop Boys. I don't really know how...
they're trying too hard?
Yeah, it's a good song, but it just doesn't feel genuine. It feels like they just are pumping out an album. I know that sounds horrible, and I'm a Pet Shop Boys fan, so I don't mean it to sound horrible, but that's kind of the feeling I got.
They could have retired a long time ago, so I don't think they're going to put out an album unless they're really into it. I mentioned this on the last show because we talked about the tunes Monkey Business and Burning the Heather. Burning the Heather, by the way, now on the album, I think it sounds a lot better than when I first heard it as a single. It fits into the album well. It's kind of a relief in the contrast with the other more danceable tunes. I like how Monkey Business and then the track that follows it, Only the Dark, are both have kind of like a very, very much a retro 80s sound to it. I would say it's worth the purchase, but don't go expecting it to be another. Everyone always says like another Very or another Behavior or another Actually. It's they're never going to reach those heights again.
I'm just continually amazed by these 80s artists who are still making music, still performing. We've said it so many times when we go and see a band live how fantastic they are and how much energy they have, and I'm sure they're not going to disappoint. I'm very excited about it.
And then my favorite band ever by far, my Beatles, would be Genesis. Surprisingly, they've reunited. Lots of comments about their age. I mean, for one thing, Phil Collins can't even stand up anymore. It's just going to be in England, and the tickets are incredibly expensive. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm just interested to hear how that pans out. So
yeah, wow.
Right, yeah.
You say he can't stand up. I mean, is he okay, or is he just elderly? I mean, he's not that old, is he?
Yeah, he's almost 70. Reading his biography, as a singer, he relied a lot on, and as a drummer too, of cortisol shots. It really highly damaged his bones, all the cortisol. And so because of that, he has lots of joint and back problems. He'll never drum again. So instead, his son is drumming.
Hey, that's cool,
So
right?
yeah, so we at least got a Collins at the drums.
Still got a little Collins.
For what that's worth. So I'm at least pleased that the Pet Shop Boys still release music. New Order did about 4 years ago. They came out with an album. Genesis, I've been waiting for, at least, with Phil Collins in the group, since 92 for another Genesis album. So I always have this fantasy that maybe Tony has been saving up lots of secret pop songs and he's just ready to release on the public.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting older. And if you want to see them, go see them while you can.
Time.
Yeah. I tend to go on these like YouTube binges where I'll just listen, and I find a lot of really great songs that way, but I have this really bad habit of not actually digging into the artists. I don't know why I do that. It's really annoying. But I've had this song by Seona dancing. I can't even remember the name of the song, honestly. Yeah, but I really like the song, and lo and behold, who's in Seona dancing?
Well, this is how I found it out. I was watching, it was an interview with Depeche Mode in Russia from a few years ago, and Ricky Gervais was there as well, and he briefly mentioned and made fun of that, how he was in that group, and how you pronounce it again.
It's Seona dancing.
That duo.
Yeah.
He's probably one of my more favorite comedians.
Oh yeah, I love him.
/ actors. But it's funny watching it because you just can't tell that it's him.
Are you joking me? Because I can tell.
You can tell now. Maybe now that you know that it's him.
Well, yeah, no, you've got a point there.
I couldn't. I was even thinking is he the other guy? Is he the guy who does the music and not the singer and stuff? But,
yeah, no, I just think it's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of those. I think it's like 83 or something.
Yeah.
But it's a good song.
It's a really good song.
Right.
There has really opened my eyes to the fact that I really need to sit down and go through a lot of the songs that I've downloaded, because some of those artists, they could be really great and I don't even know,
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like an embarrassment of riches. It's the only limited resource we have is time. It's such a terrible problem to have. No, it's great. It's great. We're very fortunate.
I'm not that upset at you. I forgive you.
Okay.
DJ Sirius, you did a great job.
What's your opinion about Kate Bush in general?
I think she's badass. I mean, I like her. I really do.
Badass?
I can see her. I can see why a lot of people might look up to her. Like a lot of women might look up to her. Yeah. I can see why guys like her and why women like her too, I guess.
I don't even know how many, if she ever had to make any compromises with her record label, especially when she got her own studio and albums like the Hounds of Love and Sensual World. She'd spend a year on each of them in her own studio with her band, doing everything she wants, and then she just sent it to the record company and said, "This is it, put it to print. This is how I want it to sound," without your fingers on it.
So yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like,
really
she's genuine.
Yeah, right.
This is this is me. She's very authentic.
Voice, right. It's not filtered.
I had acid reflux tonight. hope you enjoyed the 80 of the 80s podcast. You can download more episodes at your favorite podcasting resource or at our website, 80ofthE80s.com. And we want to be your Facebook friend. Until the next song, this is AK-47 thanking you for your power play.
Take your shoes off.